Good morning and welcome to my channel. It's Lisa and I'm here with a paper pad from Stamperia from my big pizza box that I received from the company, and the paper pad's name is Time. Look at how beautiful these papers are. That wonderful girl there on the front. Each piece is more beautiful than the next. It was very hard for me to cut up this paper, but that's why they sent it to me, so that I could create a mixed media piece. And this is a 12 by 12 that I made for you today, and I believe it turned out absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to use the scraps and set them aside, and I'm going to create a card pack with the scraps. So that'll be another video coming down the line, but I just wanted to show you what each of these papers looked like before I went ahead and cut them up. The colors are absolutely amazing. They're totally in my palette and I absolutely love them. Just look at the background pieces here. This is the inspiration for the piece. You must be tired because you've been running through my mind all day. I thought that was really great sentiment for this piece, and it went perfectly with that lady on the front page. The papers are heavy and they are double-sided, and it's, like I said, very hard to decide what pieces you're going to be cutting out of the paper. So I hope you like this project. It's a little bit longer today, but we have a lot to do and a lot of great techniques to show you. So grab a cup of tea and sit back and enjoy. And I hope that you will comment, share, and subscribe to my channel before we're done. And we can meet up again on Saturday for a art journal background finishing workshop that I've been doing. The series has been doing really well, so please join us. So all of those papers I went through and I pulled out the items that I thought would look great on this mixed media project. And here I'm just inking the sides with my archival ink in potting soil. And I did all of these pieces. And then I was pulling this paper out of my stash. I'm not 100% sure what it is because it's all in a foreign language, but to me it resembled some handmade paper, maybe watercolor type. And I'm going to use that paper. Here's a stencil I thought I may use, and a lot of stamps and chipboard, and all of this product was given to me, and I will show you the video that I did for the unboxing. I'll leave the link up above here so you can take a look at that one. I thought for sure I would use these chipboards, being that they're clocks, and the pattern paper pad was called Time, but I just couldn't add one more piece into the project. Here's my 1/2 inch 12 by 12 MDF board. And I'm just kind of getting a little lay of the land here, setting things out, not gluing anything down. And I'm taking a picture of the project right now with my tablet so I can use it as a reference when I need to pull everything back off. And you'll see here I'm going to set the items aside. I've inked the edges, and then I was deciding about this background. I was just going to add a little bit of this handmade paper to the background, and I decided they gave me these products to use. Don't be skimpy with them. I'm going to cover that whole background with that handmade paper, and I'm going to put it down with my matte gel just because it was thick enough where I thought it would be a little bit uneven when I was putting those pattern paper pieces down. So I'm going to use the product they sent me, and I'm going to cover the whole back with the handmade paper, giving it a real good stick there. And I'm just seeing where my papers are going. I needed to cover up that black little space because you could see it when I had my piece together. So I have it all together. I gave it a dry, and here I thought, oh, I want to put some cheesecloth down, and I'm using a little dilution spray that I had. I'm just using things out of my stash, and more products will be Stamperia products, when I add more to my stash. But I wanted to make this project, and I wanted to get it out for you so you could see what I was doing with the goodies that they sent me. So I sprayed the cheesecloth, I put it on this little glass plate, and then I'm spraying some water because the cheesecloth and the ink was very dark. And what I actually did is take that to the sink and I rinsed out some of that color and I let it hang up to dry. And here I'm using some of those chipboard pieces. I want to use them in the corners, and I needed to cover them with some gesso, and I gave them 2 real quick coats of gesso because I'm going to add some ink to them, and I thought that it would just soak right into the chipboard piece. I put it on this piece of black cardstock here so that you could see what I was doing a little bit better. I appreciate comments, so if there's anything you want to see different or things you liked and didn't like, please let me know. So like I said, we're doing this in steps here because it's quite a big piece and lots of elements to it. And this I'm just going to put gesso on, like I said, and set it aside to dry for a little bit later in our project. I'm really having fun with all of these products that they sent me. So here is our MDF board, which is covered with that handmade paper. I gave it a real quick dry, and then I cut off the edges with my scissors. And now I'm going to use an emery board to get those little side edges smoothed out and make it look like it's all a finished piece on the outside. Now, if you're doing this along with me or in the future, here is where you want to make sure you have your piece set up correctly with your back hangers from the MDF board. Make sure that you've got it going the right way here because we're going to start adding different elements. Here is a stamp that Stamperia sent me, and the name of this stamp is I don't have a name on here, I apologize, but it's got different letters on it, and it's really great for backgrounds. I do not have the name, but if you contact me through the description below, I can research that and get it to you. I have an item number, WTKCC14. I don't know if that will help, but it's covered with different letters on it, and I thought it was really great to add some type back in the background here. I'm just putting everything down, and I'm looking at my tablet there to the left, and I'm seeing where things go for placement. And I wanted to put these pieces down in several different layers because I'm adding that dimension. And at the end of our project, we're going to add a lot of shading to create the shadows. While keeping the piece pretty flat, there'll be a lot of dimension that will appear to be on it. So here's those wonderful sentiments. And I cut out all of the locks that I could find from the pattern piece, and there's a little key, and I thought that it all went together. So here I'm pointing out the background that we did with that stamp, and then I wanted to put that dried piece of cheesecloth in there just to add another texture element and add that vintage feel to the piece. I thought it would go real well. Just straightening it out a little bit. I'm going to adhere it down with my matte gel, and everything will start to come together here. And you see how I ripped that cheesecloth with my finger? I thought it added another layer of texture and dimension by having those holes in it. And the finished piece, I believe, is just amazing. Please let me know what you think. So the cheesecloth is down, and here I'm going to work on that little filigree again, and I'm adding some brown potting soil to the edges so that it will add another layer of dimension and it'll stand out from the background. Putting everything down here with my matte gel because these pieces are a little bit thicker and we want to stick them down real good. I'm not sparing any product here. I don't want them to be coming up in the future. There, we've got most of the items down now, but like I said, I wanted to add the elements down in different layers. So this is how I thought the first layer would be, and I'm using my emery board again to clean off those edges. Right now I'm going to use something that I use a lot in my mixed media art. We're using some burnt umber acrylic paint and a glazing medium. It's by Liquitex, and I'm thinning out that paint and I'm covering the entire piece with a brush. The piece is covered and it's still wet, and now I'm adding just plain water over the top of that paint, and I want it to run and go in the nooks and crannies of the piece to pick up all of that texture, and just spreading it around with my brush. It's turning out absolutely gorgeous. Using my clean, damp towel here to pick up some of the color. You don't want it too dark and you don't want it too light. It's just personal preference here, what you would like to do with the piece. And I didn't show you maybe totally, but there is enough of the matte gel on there where the papers aren't going to be too saturated and fall apart. So when you're putting your pieces down, make sure you're doing a layer underneath and over the top so it acts as a barrier for that water, or you may have a little bit of a mess. I gave it a quick dry, and now we're going to use that matte gel again, and we're adding on our next layer of our background. And this is the layer with the girl on it, the sentiments, some more of the keys and the background pieces. So this takes a little bit, and of course I sped it up with my video editing so that this video wouldn't be way too long. But you can see I'm putting each item down. I'm looking at my tablet, which is over at the left of my initial design. I'm adding some of those scraps of the cheesecloth and giving it another layer of texture. I don't know why that was so hard for me to remember. Cheesecloth. I love adding elements like that to my work. I think that it really gives the eye something to look at, something different to think about and focus. And I thought the vintage style of that went really well with this piece. It's all coming together now, and just sticking down some of those ends to make everything make everything go together, placing down those sentiments, giving everything a good seal. Now I'm going to cover the whole piece with clear gesso. And the reason I chose clear gesso is because I did not want it to get cloudy. I was thinking that if I added a whole layer of matte medium, it would get a little cloudy on me. Here I'm showing you how I use 3 colors of paint, put it on a piece of paper, and then use my finger just to give it a little bit of color there. I wanted those 3 colors that were used in the background to shine through on the foreground, and I just used a few little swipes with my finger, and those colors are Lucky Clover, Quinacridone, Nickel Azo Gold, and Yellow Oxide. I'll leave them linked in the description below. And here is the finishing touches to the piece. This time I'm using a Inktense bark colored watercolor pencil, a little bit of water, and a thin brush, and I'm going around all the elements to create that shadow, and it really does make it pop. I'm going to use a little bit of charcoal pencil also, just to add to the darkness in some of the shadows that are already there. And that's a 6B extra soft charcoal pencil by General. So I'll go around the whole piece off camera, and I'll be back and show you what the result looks like. Right, I'm really loving how it's looking. Now I'm going to use a bit of finger wax, and that is aged brass, and this is a product by Finnabar. I'm not sure if Stamperia has a product like this. I do not have it, unfortunately, but it will be something that I add to my stash because I do use it a lot in these vintage style pieces. It really makes that chipboard pop there, and you'll be able to see it in some of the still shots that I have at the end. I'm going around the piece with a product that I use quite often, and it is just a black chalk writer, it's called, and it's real creamy like a distress crayon, and I just mark the edges and smudge it with my finger. It adds, again, another layer of texture, and that black border really finishes the piece. I also decided to put a little bit on my finger and put it over the layer of the cheesecloth. I wanted it to hit all the high edges and make that cheesecloth pop a little bit. You'll see it in the final photos. I hope you enjoyed this piece, and I hope you love this paper collection. I really, really do. And again, I will make some of those cards and show you another quick video with the results from that. Just using a little bit of that black and going around on that cheesecloth, like I said. I'll be back again with another video for Stamperia. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. That's the only way I'm going to grow my channel, is with you. If you like what you see, I so appreciate you going ahead and sharing with a friend. And we'll see you next time. Remember, I have a video on Tuesdays of mixed media, and I have a Saturday art journal page. Have a great day, and thanks for stopping by.